Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon session of Summit. My name is Christine Anderson. I work for OCFS as the Anti-Trafficking and Runaway and Homeless Youth Program Coordinator. In that role, I am also the Program Director for Safe Harbor, New York, and that is what brings me with you here this afternoon for this amazing session.
Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you to OCFS for putting this wonderful event together. We're really excited about being able to talk about the work that we're doing and also what it means to be a survivor. So welcome to the Untold Story of a Survivor, Learning, Forgiving, and Healing. Next slide, please. So my name is Dawn Rowe. I am the founder and CEO of GirlVal and the National Task Force for Missing and Murdered Women and Girls of Color, considered a Black women and girls trauma expert that currently does work in the area of foster care, juvenile justice, and also poverty. So just a little bit about GirlVal. We are an intensive gender-focused mentoring program for girls and incarcerated youth that have been impacted by the foster care and the juvenile justice system, ages 12 to 24. Many of the participants that we work with have been housed on Rikers Island, juvenile justice facilities, foster care agencies. Some of our young people have been sex trafficked, and we also work with young girls that have been missing. So we work with girls through any age of the juvenile or the foster care process, and we are located in Harlem and also in the Bronx. However, we do work through the 5 boroughs of New York City. We provide different type of services such as crisis intervention, life skill workshops. We provide leadership programs. We have an intensive-based mentoring program. We have a peer program where Mariah, who's a presenter, she'll be speaking later on in a couple of minutes, actually. She'll present about her work, but she's one of our lead youth ambassadors, and this is the work that we are currently doing. So today's presentation is about the untold story of survivor. So today what we really want to do is to be able to provide a live account of what introduces a teenage girl to sex trafficking, and also examining what happens when she can't help herself because she's been immersed in so much pain. So today is a presentation where Crystal is going to be able to talk about her experience and how she's been able to save herself. So Crystal, she was formerly incarcerated at the tender age of 14. She's a sex trafficked survivor who witnessed multiple bouts of trauma conflicted by her upbringing. She could not overcome the losses and turned to drugs. Determined to make a change, Crystal has used her resources, starting by attending school. She has been lauded for her academic efforts and a desire to start her own very nonprofit organization called Believe. Lastly, Mariah's son. She is our advocate, our youth ambassador that began with GirlVal in 2016. While in juvenile detention, she has worked tirelessly and worked her way up to becoming an ambassador as well as an advocate. Mariah, I'm so happy to introduce her as an honor roll student, a college student. She inspires to become a social worker and a life coach, and today is her birthday. So I just wish her a happy, happy birthday, and we love her, and she is going to do so amazing. Mariah, I turn it over to you.
Thank you. So hello, everybody. We're going to get into it now. So beginning with the voice of a survivor.
It all started as a young girl that just wanted to be free, you know. I always wanted to be free like a butterfly. Nobody tell me nothing. Nobody could tell me what to do, nothing. I always had that mentality as a young girl because, you know, my homegirls' moms would never be the strict one. They could always go out at a later time, never had curfew. Meanwhile, I always had curfew. My mom was very strict. I started running away as a young girl, you know, not coming home. My mom would put pinch warrants on me. She would just, you know, be looking for me in the street, texting my friends. And I was just like, I didn't care, you know. I never cared. And I was always pushing my family away, you know. And one time, I met a homegirl, and she was just telling me, like, you know, you can make a lot of money. We're already messing with guys, why don't we might as well take money from them? And my first impression was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But I was already doing stuff like that, but without exchanging money. So I was just like, you know, I might as well just do it. So the first time I did it, I saw a lot of money just of one guy. And I really it really impressed me. I was like, wow, so much money. I never had this much money. And I was already hooked on drugs. So, I was like, I might as well just do it because I just wanted to get high and have fun. Buy whatever I want, do whatever I want with my money. I don't have to ask my mom for nothing. And yeah, it just started off like that. Then I met a guy that, I started working with him, it's like called a pimp, And I was basically working with him for a minute, and yeah, it got to the point where we was working for like a whole year. So then after that, I started getting incarcerated. Like I just started getting locked up in programs like, detention centers. I started going into detention centers. Then I got placed in placements, and that was basically my whole life since 14. So I kept coming in and out. And every time I would be out, I would just try to get money, any type of way. Which was, selling myself or robbing people or just doing dumb stuff just to get money, because I was always money hungry. And I feel like, so what I'm just trying to say with this story is basically your past could never dictate your future. Don't let it affect your future because everybody has a past. And I feel like it's just how you change it and become a better you, at the end of the day. So yeah, bad people is gonna talk because a lot of people talk, but it's just show them you could do better and you are gonna do better. That's just my mentality, and I feel like it should be everybody's mentality. Yeah, I know it's hard, but just ask everybody. Nobody I don't care what nobody says. To be honest, I'm doing good right now. I'm one test away from getting my GED. And after that, I plan on going on college, to help kids and youth that have been in my situation. Because I feel like I could make a good impact and a great impact. And, it doesn't even matter. As long as I help one person out, I'm going to be good. Because, I feel like I got saved because of these programs like Girl Val. Girl Val impacted me a lot. They changed my life a lot. They helped me out a lot. And I don't feel judged in no type of way. I could speak freely, everybody, director, the staff is very nice, And I feel like more programs like this should, they should be heard of because they could make a great impact in anybody's life.
So now we're going to go into speaking about how upbringing can correlate with sex trafficking. So although there is no specific profile for a sex trafficking victim, researchers have found that sex traffickers often target children and youth with a history of maltreatment, sexual abuse, low self-esteem, and minimal social support. Children and youth at risk of labor trafficking share many of the same risk factors. Children who have recently migrated or relocated are at a heightened risk. It is important to remember that absence of these risk factors does not mean any particular child is not being trafficked. And now I'm going to play a video from another survivor of sex trafficking.
Be naked is much like that either. I have class for myself too. And he took me to alley, he put me at gunpoint, and the only way I could really, not get killed is I had to do something.
Do you recall the first time? You were 13 when you started.
Yeah.
Do you recall the first time you did this?
The first time I did this, I was scared. The fact that I have a little sister and she's doing it too, it's like, dang, I could have taught her way much more and just,
How old is your sister?
She's 14.
She's working. Do you have dreams or goals that you like to?
Yeah, I want to do makeup and I want to do nails, and that's what I want to do.
I wonder if you had a rough childhood because you lost your parents, and sometimes if you're not supported the right way, you end up feeling like you don't deserve better things in life.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you have a good head on your shoulders because you're looking to get out, you're looking to do something productive, and that's great. You finished school early, which is really remarkable. So there's a lot of positives I see.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if there's something that brought you down this path.
What brought me down this path is the group of friends I was hanging around.
This is some more risk factors to be aware of in sex trafficking, history of childhood physical or sexual abuse, mental health issues or disorders, academically off track, poor self-esteem, has run away from home more than once, family rejection related to identifying as LGBTQIA+, lives in a shelter or a group home, or both, has been back and forth from both shelters and group homes, uses drugs or is involved with several romantic partners, family members who have bought sex or been trafficked before, parents who abuse drugs, lives in an area with large influx of cash-rich workers or tourists, history of arrest for juvenile status offenses such as truancy or underage possession of alcohol. And this is a continuation, current or past involvement in the child welfare system, history of running out of home care, lack of social support, extreme poverty, learning disabilities or developmental delays, high number of adverse childhood experiences, family dysfunction or instability, current runaway or homeless status, involved with or targeted by gangs. So now we're going to go into the Q&A with Crystal.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about your childhood growing up? Well, me growing up, I grew up in a house where there was a lot of domestic violence. And yeah, I've actually witnessed a lot of like violence in my house with my mom, getting abused by men and stuff like that. And it was like I remember stuff even like from like when I was 3 years old and to this day. But yeah, I would say I had like, a hard childhood, but my mom was always there. Like, my mom never gave her back to me, but I did see a lot growing up that I feel like the stuff that I saw growing up actually affected me in a lot of ways and the decisions I've made.
Thank you for sharing also. I want to, not only that, I just want to say thank you for sharing and being vulnerable and being able to, express yourself and be able to tell other people your story and show them how far you've come. Did you experience feeling low self-esteem during the time?
No, not really. Just because I mean I was never like, forced to do anything. It was always like, I mean, I did have people influencing me, but it was like, I wasn't kidnapped, I wasn't forced, I was doing it willingly. But, with like, I was just mad young, but I wouldn't say I had low self-esteem.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to the next question. How did you get involved with I know you spoke a little bit about it in your recording, but maybe you could get into a little bit more depth.
I got involved because of actually one of my homegirls. She introduced me, like she basically was just telling me like, um, we could make mad money by doing this, and it actually like, I mean, I was already, doing stuff like, with men and stuff, but I wasn't never like taking no money for nothing. I was just do it, cause, but after like she was just telling me like, yo, we could just mess with guys and we get money out of them. Like we do that regardless. So what's the issue? We might as well make them treat us. So I was like, you know what, that does sound smart, we should, so that's how I got basically like, my friend just brought it up one time and, she did it in front of me and I just saw how much money she had. I was like, whatever, I'm gonna just see somebody like the first time. And the first time I came up on $100, on $800. So the fact I came up with that much money and I wasn't working. I was what, like 13 years old. It just seemed like easy, fast money to me.
Yes. Hmm. And that's what I was going to go into, that it was more so, you know, lack of income, lack of guidance around you. And, you know, although you were willingly doing this, you know, you were still a victim in the situation. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I just want you to know that. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. So since then, you have turned your life around and you have made great strides. So I'm gonna ask you, what are some positive things that you're doing in your life at the moment?
Well, currently, like I actually been home for like I want to say 2 years and a half now. Ever since I left my limited secure placement, and I actually been doing good. I've been back. I Gorba helped me get into GED school, and I'm actually doing very good in my GED school. I only need one test to graduate, and I'm taking the test next month. And I've actually got a job. My school gave me a job working at a senior center. I've also accomplished a lot of internships. I've gotten a lot of like I've actually had a lot of help grow about in my other programs. They've been there for me, helped me in a lot of ways. And yeah, basically like even Groval even helped me get into housing program, but it actually didn't work out all the way. I actually left because I thought, like I left on myself, but yeah, I've been doing very good to this day.
Um, so what would be your aspirations in life? Like, what do you want to take from, you know, the experience that you've been through, and a little bit, you know, go into a little bit more detail about it. Like, has this sparked you to want to give back and help, you know, young girls that may have been in the same situation as you? Like, where do you want to go from this, and how do you want to use your experience and your story to help others?
Well, I know I've always told myself like I basically like I'm in school right now, but after I graduate from my GED program, I'm trying to go to college for criminal justice, like to study social work and criminal justice, because I know that with all the stuff I've been through, I could actually help somebody else, and just like make them like like to help their life a little bit better, because I know that my experiences like, and when you speak to somebody and they don't really know what you're talking about, like a therapist. If you go to a therapist, that therapist has not been in your shoes. She does not know what you're going through. She does not know what you're feeling. So the fact that I've been through what I've been through and the stuff I choices I made and how I've grown so much, I feel like I could literally like change somebody's life in a good way. Make them realize that that's not that they don't want to do that for the rest of their life. Like basically just lead them into the right direction like I was led, because I feel like even like the people that I speak to, they've been through some stuff. So like yeah, that's what I want to say. I feel like when you hear with somebody that's been in your shoes, you kind of like listen to them more, and you kind of look up to them more. That's why I've always told Dawn like I look up to her a lot, because look at like the things she's been through and with like who she become. So that's just like really like motivates me, and yeah, to be better and stuff like that.
You did mention for your introduction that you wanted to create your own nonprofit organization called Believe. So, in terms of that, like, what are the steps that you feel like you need to make to get there?
Well, I know one of them is I need to like finish school, because I need to get at least like I think I need to get my up to like my master's, I think, for social work, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I think school, and I feel like I need to have a lot of patience, because working with people that like you can't really like speak to a kid, like me, you can't really like speak to a person like me and say stuff, not like, saying it the wrong way or saying something that might trigger somebody, because You have to know people's like, not everybody's the same, and especially like girls like me, you cannot like go and start saying stuff about like, how girls sell themselves or stuff like that, because that's very offensive. But I feel like, yeah, you need patience. You need school is one, and I just feel like you just need, like, to be honest, like right now, I feel like I basically like I'm starting, my career basically because like just by doing little steps, just like by me being here is like me, working towards my future. Just by me speaking to at least like my homegirls or like people that I know and telling them my life experience and telling them how I changed my life a lot, might empower somebody else, to be like, damn, that girl really changed her life around. I should do the same.
Yeah. Um, I would like to applaud you for, your turnaround, as I applauded you earlier, but I just want to applaud you again because, to come from that and, it's very hard to be self-aware in situations and be able to be like, okay, like this is where I went wrong or this is what I need to work on and then move forward. A lot of people get stuck in the cycle of, repeating the same actions because they never take lessons from it. And I really do love the fact that you can use your experience and help others and use it as a stepping stool rather than a crutch. Because, it's easier, it's harder to push through the pain and push through the trauma that you've been through. And it's, rather than, sit down and be like, okay, like I went through this, so this is why I am the way I am. Oh well, there's no reason for me to fix it. So it's very rare to find people that use their obstacles, as I said, their trauma, and make it a make it a stepping stone. So I just want to always applaud you for that and let you know that you are noticed and you are appreciated, and I'm glad that we're here today and you are who you are. And sometimes I think we need to go through experiences like that because if we don't, then how can we be stronger for maybe harder things we may face in life in the future? I always look at life as when you go through hard things, it's not to keep you down, it's always to like take from it and use it to another obstacle you may have or use it to help somebody else.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I agree with you because I feel like even though I've been through a lot of like stuff that I don't wish on nobody, I feel like it actually helped me a lot and it changed my mindset a lot. Like before, I just think I was just young also and very naive, but also I look back at my life and I'd be like, damn, yeah, I wish, I didn't go through the stuff I've been through, but I just feel like like for example, me going through my like seeing a lot of TV in my house, domestic violence, that made me not want to, be with somebody that would disrespect me or would put hands on me or stuff like that. Me being locked up, it motivated me to not want to get locked up again. Even though it was as a juvie, it wasn't no Rikers. It's still the same thing. You're still locked up, can't go out. But I don't wish on nobody, and that actually helped me a lot. And just seeing how the criminal justice is messed up, it made me want to become what I want to do because I know me being a social worker and criminal justice, that could help kids and the criminal justice itself. And yeah, all the stuff I've been through, like, yeah, I know it was messed up, but I've learned a lot through all the choices I made. I've learned a lot. And right now, anybody could tell you I am not the same person I was 4 years ago. Before I didn't care what nobody said, I did not care about nothing. Now I'm starting to like, realize it's more to life. You cannot just live your life the way you want to just because, yeah, life is short. No, like, you want to live, you can live a good life, but you also, I don't know, I just feel like you gotta work hard for the things you want to achieve in life. And like I said in my, like, when I was speaking in my introduction, don't ever let your past affect you in no way. Cause yeah, I know, even though, I was young, my past might always like, might come back to me in the future. and it might bite me very, it might mess me up in the long run. But I just feel like, me changing right now is just gonna show a lot of people that doubted me that damn, this girl really did it. This girl was a she was a drug addict, not going to school, staying out in the street, and now look at her what she's become. That's what I want people to think about me when they hear my name.
And I think that's why it's like that's the mindset you should have. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you look at life in that sense rather than wanting to continue the path of, you know, maybe not making the correct decisions for yourself. At the same sense, it's like you realize this isn't what you want for your life, and the light bulb went off in your head that, you deserve more and you can have more in life. So I really, I give my flowers to you, and it's an amazing thing that you came to that realization. And we're going to move on to the next question. So this is simple. You can, because we kind of go on it a little bit. So what is some advice you would give to others who may be involved in sex trafficking?
Well, if always speak up if you don't know how to like get out of it. Also, I would tell them not to be scared that, yeah, I get it. It's very, very easy money, but you should look at it like, I don't know, I feel like most. I don't want to speak for a lot of like everybody, but most of the girls that are like sex trafficking is also like is mostly because of the money, because it does bring money and stuff. But an advice I would give them is don't let whatever you're going through right now um define who you are, and like try to forgive yourself always. Like, yeah, in that situation you're not gonna feel happy. Like, yeah, I get it, you're not gonna feel happy. Well, every time I was doing it, I was off drugs because I had to be. I don't want to like, but I when you're just doing that, you might feel like disgusted, like nasty. So I would just feel like, oh, try to forgive yourself. Like don't blame it on yourself. Yeah, you might look back at it like, damn, I did this with so many people. I've done that with, because of this. I like, stuff like that. But I just feel like, yeah, you should, I guess, like, forgiveness is one. You should learn how to, like, cope with, like, yourself and, like, basically, like, just, I would say, like, I don't even know how to put this in words, but I would say, like, join some classes of, like, how to do self-love, self-care, stuff like that. And I would just basically say, like, speak up. And there's a lot of actually, like, programs that might help you. Like, for example, most girls that are doing this, they either don't have a house, or they either, running away, or they either in drugs. And, just like look up the programs, look up programs that might help you with housing, with money, with, food, stuff like that. And yeah, basically that's it.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Um, so basically, you went into saying what have you learned. So you can just, if you want to re-answer it, you can. But um, if not, we can skip over this.
I've learned I've learned to like forgive people that like actually like my mom. I always like blame her because I used to be like, damn, you let me see you getting beat up by a guy. You put me through that when you could have like, you could have removed both of us out of that situation, but no, you decided to stay there for how many years, having your kids see that. So I learned like how to forgive people a lot because I know like I know she was my mom, she was a bigger person, but I don't know what she would have gone through. Like she might have. She told me actually one time like, oh, I can't do a lot of stuff. He helps me, he provides it, So I get it, life is not easy. So she might have lived worse, she might have had a worse experience than me because she was the one actually living it. But I learned how to forgive people. I learned how to have patience with myself. And I learned that money is not always, doesn't always bring you happiness. Because, yeah, I used to have money and stuff like that when I was, doing in the life. But where's that money now? I did not save not even one penny, like at all. All the money I've made, what it was spent on the same day or within the week. I haven't like to this day. I have no money spent on what I when I was in the life, nothing, because I was just spending it. So it's like I was doing it basically for no reason. I cannot even say I was doing it to save up, or I cannot say it was because I was going through something because I just was, like I said, I think I was just money hungry. But I've learned those three things, and I've also learned how to like love myself even more. Cause yeah, my people might be like, oh yeah, but you did that. I don't care, I still love myself for who I am and who I've become and who I'm going to become.
And that's a great mindset to have. Um, what are you forgiving? So you kind of went into that. You can continue and go in a little bit more in depth if you would like.
I guess, like I said, I will forgive my mom. And I guess I would say my father too, because even though my father is not here right now, he passed away. He did have a bad alcohol like problem, and my mom had like she was in a DV case for so many years. So like I really didn't. My dad was around, but my dad was like my friend. He wasn't really like my dad. He was not like a dad figure. He was like most a friend figure. I guess like I would forgive. I think I would forgive both of my parents because they could have done better, but it is what it is, and nobody could change. Like I said, you can't really change your past. You can only change how your future, and the past is always gonna be there. But yeah, I guess I will forgive my mom, my father, and myself of what I put myself through when I didn't have to because my mom never kicked me out. I was the one always trying to be in the street. I was the one trying to run away. I was the one trying to live freely. So I can't even say like, I had to do it because my mom kicked me out. I didn't have no place to go. But I think yeah, I would just forgive me, my mom and my father because they could have done better. My mom could have looked for help. If she didn't have too much money for us to have an old apartment, she could have looked for someplace else. There's a lot of housing, a lot of shelters, a lot of stuff, but she could have, you know, left the situation, but she chose to stay. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. And that's a great thing that you're able to forgive because sometimes not everybody can do that. So that's a that's an amazing that's amazing. That's amazing thing that you a quality that you have that you're able to forgive. And what are you healing?
Um, right now, I'm actually like, I've been stressed lately, so I would say like, I'm healing like my inner self, like how to like,
And kind of
um,
like your inner child, because now you have to, you know, band-aid, not band-aid, but take care of the wounds of the trauma that you've been through as a kid. And, sometimes we forget that our inner child can play roles in our life, and sometimes we don't even realize it. And it goes into breaking generational curses, as like your mom was in a domestic relationship, you don't want that for yourself.
yeah. Also, another way I be like, like killing my inner like I guess soul, whatever. I like to like write, like I be like journaling. Oh, like, and even when I like feel some type of way, whatever, I like to speak about my feelings. So that's how I like heal my mind and my soul and my body.
I'm glad that you're able to heal from your situation. I'm glad that you're able to learn from your situation. And most importantly, I'm glad that you're able to forgive, because when you forgive, you're able to move forward in life. Even if sometimes you feel like, you still may have anger, um, towards certain situations, being able to forgive those things and be like, you know what, it's not my fault, it's their fault. And I have to just make peace with that and move forward is what is going to keep you elevating in life. So before I click off the presentation, I am just going to say, about Girl Vow and how we put our lives to work. We are restoring our own families. Our girls are going to college and graduating, amplifying their voices.
I'm so
Um,
happy.
what do girls need? They should be able to make mistakes and still grow up. They should not be negatively sanctioned for who they are. And that just goes to show that we have Crystal here, and, she did a complete 360 with her life, and she used Girl Vow and other resources as stepping stones and as, support to help her get to where she is today. And, in the next few years, we will be seeing you with your own nonprofit organization, shining like a star that you are. Um, so now, I'm going to pass the baton over to Christine, and she will pull up the poll for you all to answer. And I really hope that you guys took something from this presentation. The work that we do is very important. Um, Outreach to people with, outreach to survivors, being out there in the community and having more presentations like this, having more meetings like this, spreading the word and getting it out there that there are people out there suffering, and young girls at that. So we need to extend ourselves as a community, as a society, as a whole, to help them come from that, and not allow to give them the space and opportunity to have people to help them, so they know that even if, God forbid, they were in this situation, there is support. There are people that will help them rehabilitate back into the community. There are people that will hold those accountable who took advantage of them, because it goes way deeper than just, somebody, as I said earlier with Crystal, just because you said, okay, you were willing to, at the same sense, you were just a child. You don't understand what you're doing. So how can you be willing to do anything if this is something that you're not aware of? So the people who took advantage of you, that knowing your age, knowing that, I just feel like the people who take advantage of people in general and could, traffic young girls and do things like this, they need to be held accountable. And the only way that we can do that is continue to have things like this and spread the word and, show that this is real life and it's happening and it's not just on TV shows. So, yes, I'm sorry for my rant. Now
No, you say whatever you want to say. First of all, I just want to give my heartfelt thanks to Mariah and Crystal and Dawn, of course, for being so vulnerable today and sharing with us your stories and your lives. And Crystal, I have no doubt that you are going to hit every goal that you set Mariah to. We have a poll up, so if folks could just answer the poll. I actually have a question for either Crystal or Mariah, whoever feels comfortable sharing. How did you first become connected with Dawn and Girl Vow?
So I've had my trouble past. I was a previous runaway. I was in the street. I have been in situations, I wasn't sex trafficked, but I've been in situations where I was taken advantage of. And, at that age, like I said, I'm thinking, why does a grown man want to deal with a 13 or a 14-year-old? I didn't understand that until I was an adult. And now I have my own child, I have my own life, I have my own family. And it's like, that's not normal. It's not okay. And I got, and being in those type of situations just messed me up, that I thought like my mom was my enemy. I was going against her. My family, I have also watched my mom, go through a domestic violence situation, which kind of reflected on the way I treated her, because that's how I thought you're supposed to treat people when you're angry. So I used to be very, aggressive towards my mom. And, eventually after going in and out through non-secure detention, and they were just putting me, going back and forth to court, eventually they said, that's it. We have to sentence you, and that's what it is. So I had to do a year in NSP. I got introduced with Girl Vow in 2016. It was they came in to do a work. They were coming in to do workshops in the NSP home that I was in. And honestly speaking, if it wasn't for this organization, I really don't know where I would have been, because they really guided, like they helped me throughout that transition process of coming home and just being able to adapt back into society, because it was very hard. But I did know that once I went through that, I missed holidays, I missed my birthday, I missed everything in that year. And it just made me really put my life in perspective and say, like, is this really what I want for myself? Do I really want to be in somebody's Rikers Island or somebody's upstate? Do I want to be running the streets? Do I want to be being taken advantage of by men? And not only that, after having my son, because I've had experience with pill addiction. I used to take Xanax and stuff like that. So after, like, that was, even when I came home, I went through a very depressive state. And even with the support and everybody around me, it was just something within me that I was just going through, and that's how I was coping with it until I got pregnant with my son. And, I stopped doing all that. I changed my life for the better. As I was on the path of that, it stopped whatever I was going to do as terms of the pills and stuff like that. My son stopped that. And honestly speaking, he's 3 now. So honestly speaking, if it wasn't for this organization, if it wasn't for my son, if it wasn't for the people around me telling me, like, Mariah, you have so much potential, you have so much more to yourself than this, I don't think that I would have been here today speaking to you. I probably would have been dead or in jail, to be honest with you, the life that I was living. And not only that, having my child, he needs somebody to look up to. He needs a role model. He needs somebody who, who can say, like, wow, my mom, like, wow, look at my mom, so that's what really gears me. And not only that, it sparked the passion to help those around me, because the position to become a youth ambassador and help the girls and become a mentor, I have about, like, 3 mentees, and to know, like, and all my girls, they love me, like, everybody in the, all the participants, they really love me, and we have such a great bond. And to know that one girl told me one time, like, I could really cry, because it's like, never in a million years would I think that somebody would look up to me that way. And she was like, oh, she's becoming a mom, and she's like, you're such an amazing mother, like, I want you to be my mentor, I want you to guide me and help me. And for somebody to say that, it's like, wow, like, I am so I critique myself so much that you're not doing enough, this is not right, you're not doing this. And then the people around me are like, wow, Mariah, you're doing great. Like, so it's like, it's really heartfelt, and I just look forward to helping more lives and doing more things like this. And yeah, I'm sorry, I talk a lot, so I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay. You have a lot to say and a lot that you should share. And 94% of people said they feel they learned more from this presentation. So that says a lot for both yourself and Crystal, and I guess Dawn too. We should give her some props. But you have a very lucky little boy, and something we've learned this week is that really the best way for survivors to feel empowered is to see examples of other survivors, right? So many of us can sit up here and say, I get it, you should do this, but, like, if we haven't lived the life, if we haven't experienced what you've experienced, relating is a challenge. And it's really, you're such a positive role model. And
thank you.
I want you to take a minute, because I don't know that I can read these without crying, and I'm not going to do that on camera, to read through the chat and see, and Crystal, you do this as well, to see all of the positivity and accolades you're getting and snaps, while I give Dawn a question. I guess my question for you is, and I know you and I have had this conversation previously, what inspired you to create Girl Vow?
So very similar to the young ladies that spoke today, our youth ambassadors. I was a high school dropout. I was couch surfing, living from pillar to post. I was suicidal, dealing with parental abandonment. I had never heard that I had any value until I was 16. And I was living in a world where I never thought that I would make it. I never thought that I would be successful. I never thought that I could accomplish anything. And when I heard that I had value at the age of 16, it became a light bulb moment. And from that light bulb moment, I said I wanted to help girls who were like me. And so this is my ability to my being to give back. This has been such a great and rewarding opportunity for me to be able to put Girl Vow together and do all the work and see the growth in Mariah, see the growth in Crystal, and see the growth in so many of our young girls that we've served, that this is just, it's really a full moment for me, even just today, just to listen and to hear them talk about like the work and how the world that we have created collectively together has really not only grounded them, but it has grown them in such a way that they want to help other people. So this work is near and dear to my heart. From doing this work, as you know, we created a national task force for missing and murdered women and girls of color. We had a young person that went missing for a whole entire year. We started doing work, directly in the area of sex trafficking. We recently rescued a couple of girls out of upstate who were sex trafficked at the age of 14, 2 young girls. And, this work, it's difficult, it's challenging, but it's necessary. And we're going to continue, we're going to grow, we're going to save more girls, and we're going to do as much as we can.
Thank you. Yes, and that retrieval, rescue, whichever we want to call it, is what led me to Dawn and Mariah and Crystal, so deserves all of the accolades. Dawn, one more question for you. Can you maybe give a kind of an overview of the programs and services offered at Girlview, or maybe other organizations you partner with if people wanted to do some
so as I said a little bit earlier, we're an intensive mentoring program for incarcerated and foster care youth and girls and LGBTQ youth that have been impacted by poverty. So we have an intensive crisis mentoring program where we deal with young people that are in crisis on a 24/7 basis. We have, as you met, great mentors like Mariah that actually help to do a lot of the peer work and the peer counseling. We have a stipend funded program where we give our young people $80 a month who are in our weekly virtual and our newly in-person workshops. We have a youth leadership and ambassadorship program. We do a lot of court advocacy. We work in Rikers Island doing advocacy work as well. So for example, let's say the women in Rikers Island don't have something that they specifically need in order to survive. We make sure that they have the things that they need in order to survive. We host summits. We actually have weekend retreats for the girls. We do a lot of work. And I think that's what's key to making programming work, is being able to tailor the work and what you do to fit the needs of the people that you serve. And so our work is really centered on that. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, right? Because I'm like, okay, now how am I going to solve this? How am I going to put this together? How am I going to do this? But in the end, we find ways to make things work. And I think just being present, perseverance, showing up, being consistent are so important when you're dealing with young people. Don't be judgmental. They know when you judge them. When I have a person walk in the door, I say, no matter who you are and what you do, what you've done, I don't care. What do you need and how can I help you? What do you need to survive? And so that's the approach. That's the approach that we take. That's our mission and that's our goal. And that's how we're going to continue to survive this work.
That's right. I know you do so much. That's why I was like, maybe a brief overview. A brief overview. But then I was like, is there a brief overview? I don't know. Mariah, I hope you saw all those props, and Crystal, I hope you did as well. In the chat, I want to thank the three of you so much for your time today, for your strength, for your vulnerability, for your creativity in this work. Dawn, that's what I like to call it. We're being creative.
Yes,
and being innovators. And I am so grateful to the three of you. There is information for the National Task Force, and Dawn's Girl Vow email is in the chat. I look forward to hearing about all the wonderful things that Crystal and Mariah do in the future, and maybe coming to the city to visit if the powers that be will let me. And future partnerships with Girl Vow are definitely in my sights. Thank all three of you so much. Mariah, have a fabulous, fabulous birthday.
Yes.
Go do something fun for yourself. And thanks everyone for being here this afternoon. And I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Take
Thank you
care.
so much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Thank you.
Take care.